to Don McDougall, former president of Labatt's Brewery and founding director of the Toronto Blue Jays. Welcome to your morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. And how are you this morning?
I am great. Hopeful, like most Jays fans. As the former Labatt's Brewery president, you founded this team back in 1976. What was the initial goal then?
Well, initially we were, just trying to get baseball started in Toronto. It had already been well established in Montreal with the Expos. And there were, the initiative had been taken by Paul Godfrey, who was the chairman, Metro chairman, and Bill Davis, who was premier. They had made conforming the exhibition stadium to conform so we could get a team. And then the race was on, and we thought it was a good thing for Labatt's to be associated with. And it started really with us just wanting to associate ourselves with the group who were trying to bring baseball to Toronto. But we fell in love with the whole idea and ended up putting together a partnership with Mr. Webster and the Bank of Commerce and pursuing it ourselves, and we were successful in March of '76.
A good way to sell beer and a great catch-on for fans in this city and really across the country. You know, a lot of commentators are comparing this 2025 team to the Blue Jays from the 92-93 World Series. How do you think they stand in comparison?
I think there are similarities. Of course, we're very proud of the decade, 85 to 95, when the Toronto Blue Jays were the top team in baseball. And I would agree with those who talk about 92 and 93, but I really think the team looks more to me like 85 rather than 92 and 93. That was the beginning of a competitive team for 10 years. And you have to have a competitive team to have a chance. And if you have a competitive team every year, you're going to get your chances. And that's what happened then. We ended up 92 and 93 with, of course, the World Series. And this year, while like everyone else, we're very disappointed in the start to the Seattle series, but it is just the start. So we'll continue to be hopeful.
Tensions are high, but hopes are high too. Listen, as someone who was with the franchise from its infancy in '76, you've been a fan for 50 years. What are some of the key images in your mental scrapbook of memories?
Well, I guess I'm obviously in business rather than sport, but the one thing that stuck with me over the years, and I was educated to this early on, is the culture that is established within an organization like the Blue Jays depends so much on the top. And I give much of the credit, even of the team today, back to Pat Gillick, Paul Beeston, and the team that they put together back then that carried us through the first 30, 40 years. And I think that culture continues. And if you compare, we came into the baseball business with Seattle, and if you compare the two over the last 50 years, there's no comparison. The Toronto franchise has been much more successful than Seattle. And I think it goes back to the leadership that was provided by the baseball organization primarily over time.
You know, it's fun when you start looking back at the history of the Jays. And I found this fun fact. So the Jays initially were purchased for $7 million back in '76. My understanding is they're now worth $2.1 billion. But the total payroll for the 25 players who started with the team in '76 was $750,000.
Yeah, it's really quite, you win a lot of trivia contests with that information. And only about 10 years ago, I happened to be at a sports celebrity golf tournament, and Elvis Woods was there. And somebody asked me, do you remember what you paid Elvis Woods back in 1977? And I said, yes, I do. And you could tell he didn't think I would. And I said, $19,000. And I thought he was going to jump over the golf cart. He said, Don is right. That's exactly what I got. And I had to pay Canadian taxes as well on that. So those young players were started in the major leagues at 19,000, and they had to live and travel and
Wow.
families and all the rest of it. Was absurd now.
You can add a lot more zeros to those paychecks now. Listen, Mr. McDougall, great to chat with you today. One last question. Where do you love to watch the Jays, and where will you be watching tonight?
I'm going to be watching from in front of my television because I'm at the age and stage where 3 hours with 47,000 fans would be, even if it was in Toronto, would not be my choice. I like the comfort of home, and I like to listen to Buck explain it to us.
You and so many other people, you'd be a great person to watch this game with. Don McDougall, former president of Labatt's Brewery and founding director of the Toronto Blue Jays. Great to talk over memories with you today. Thanks for joining us here on Your Morning.
Thank you, Emery.